This is no laughing matter. This is no trend. This is no moment in just right now. We're talking about long-term stuff.
The WNBA just got rocked by a bold and unexpected call-out from none other than Aja Wilson. After Caitlin Clark's surprise win at the ESPYs, Aja didn't hold back, taking to the spotlight to question the league's decision-making and hint at something much deeper. Now, whispers of a secret Adidas deal tied to Caitlin's meteoric rise are exploding across social media. Fans are divided, tensions are high, and the integrity of the league is being questioned. But what did Aja really expose? And how deep does this secret partnership actually go? Let's find out. Recognition or just a popularity contest? Let's clear the air first, because in the chaos of viral tweets, heated interviews, and flashy highlight reels, something critical is being missed. Yes, Caitlin Clark officially won the 2025 ESPY for Best WNBA Player on July 16th. But before we dive into debates, let's remember what that particular award actually stands for. It wasn't about her current season in 2025. It was a reflection of her historic rookie year in 2024. A year that redefined fan engagement, broke attendance records, and introduced millions of new viewers to the WNBA. But here's where the conversation really heats up. The ESPYs aren't decided by coaches, league executives, or even fellow athletes. They're voted on by fans, and that changes the game entirely. It means the results reflect popularity, not necessarily performance. That's not a flaw, it's just a fact. And when you consider who Clark was up against, that detail becomes crucial. Her fellow finalists included some of the most accomplished and consistent players in the league: Nneka Ogwumike, Breanna Stewart, and most notably, Aja Wilson. And Wilson didn't just have a strong season, she had a historically dominant one. In 2024, she became only the second player in WNBA history to win the MVP award unanimously. Let that sink in. Every single voter chose her. That kind of agreement is almost unheard of in professional sports. So naturally, fans, and even some insiders, are asking, did Clark truly earn the title of Best WNBA Player? Or was her cultural phenomenon status just too powerful to be overlooked? Clark's impact off the court is undeniable. She led in jersey sales, boosted media coverage, and turned every arena into a sellout crowd. She brought a spark. But Aja Wilson brought consistency, skill, and statistical dominance that can't be ignored. We're not here to discredit Caitlin Clark. She deserves her flowers. She had a record-breaking year and played a massive role in growing the game. But it's fair to question whether the ESPY voting leaned more into popularity than performance. And what message does that send to the athletes grinding day in and day out, racking up stats and leading their teams? We're not drawing hard lines, just echoing what many fans are thinking. Clark took home the trophy, but Wilson's season might have told the deeper story. But what if Caitlin Clark's win wasn't just about stats? Was it popularity over performance? Stay glued to your screen. The moment it all unraveled. Let's not pretend this was just about a missed award. Something cracked that season, loud enough for anyone paying attention to feel it. The stats didn't lie. Over 1,000 points, more than 450 rebounds, nearly 100 blocks. It wasn't just dominance, it was a season for the books. A third MVP trophy gleamed beside 2 championship rings, the kind of legacy most athletes dream of. And yet, when it came to the fan vote, the one that's supposed to capture the heart of the game, it didn't go to the reigning queen of the court. It went to a rookie. Yes, the rookie was talented, electrifying even. A new face who drew headlines, and headlines draw money. But she hadn't shattered records. She hadn't carried her team through storm after storm. Still, the fans handed her the title of Best Player of the season. Not just a snub, a message. One that echoed louder than any buzzer beater. We see someone else now. That's where this stops being about numbers and starts being about perception. about the quiet, complicated reality of how athletes are seen and who gets celebrated. But this is where things get messy. While league officials smiled for the cameras and rolled out polished statements, the real conversation was happening elsewhere. In cryptic tweets, in group chats, in the swelling noise of online fandoms trading theories and screenshots. Was this really about one vote? Or something deeper? Favoritism, marketability, or a storyline that sold better with a different face at the center? Speculation spread like wildfire. Whispers of politics, of long-standing tension, of loyalty betrayed, not by fans, but maybe from within the system itself. And for the player left in the shadows? The pain didn't just come from being passed over, it came from being made invisible after building the very stage someone else now stood on. No official confrontations, no statements, but to many, the silence said everything. Because losing a vote? That stings. But being dismissed after giving everything, that cuts deeper. Especially when your name is stitched into league history and still, the applause goes elsewhere. So now we're left asking, what comes next? Because this wasn't just about a trophy, it was about visibility, about respect. And whether or not anyone will speak up, the silence that followed, it still echoes. But what does it mean when a record-breaking icon is celebrated, yet still sidelined? Stay glued to your screen. Hype, brands, and the missing shoe. By the time Caitlin Clark's name began lighting up sports headlines and social media feeds, she had already established herself as a true force in college basketball, an icon on the rise. Even before turning professional, her influence extended far beyond the hardwood. During her remarkable tenure at the University of Iowa, Clark shattered scoring records, outpacing not just women, but male athletes in the state's basketball history. She wasn't just a standout player, she became a cultural phenomenon. Fans and commentators alike were captivated by her dazzling no-look passes and jaw-dropping half-court shots. But her impact wasn't limited to her athleticism alone. Around her, a larger story was brewing, one about endorsements, brand deals, and the elusive signature sneaker. The buzz was palpable. A signature shoe seemed inevitable. What few realized, however, was that Clark had quietly entered into a non-binding agreement with Adidas while still in college. Initially, this seemed like the start of something monumental. Yet, contrary to expectations, Adidas reportedly had no immediate plans to create a signature line centered around her. This decision seemed puzzling, especially given Clark's immense popularity. Her social media presence alone was staggering. She had more than twice the followers of Angel Reese and nearly 4 times the followers of the most followed male NCAA player at the time. Then, the narrative took an unexpected turn. As Clark made her jump to the WNBA in 2024, speculation ran rampant about which brand would officially sign her. Nike had been a dominant force in her college marketing campaigns, leading many to believe it was a done deal. But in a surprising move, Adidas passed on signing Clark. Instead, she aligned with Under Armour, specifically joining Stephen Curry's rapidly expanding Curry brand. On paper, the partnership made sense, a rising star teaming with a rising brand. But the decision left fans and industry insiders asking, why the sudden shift? What had happened behind the scenes? Even more baffling was the absence of a signature shoe. Not from Adidas, not from Nike, and not yet from Under Armour or the Curry brand. Despite the massive marketing hype and cultural momentum that Clark brought into the professional arena, there was no launch, no teaser, no prototype, and no official campaign. Just silence. Naturally, speculation grew louder. Had Adidas lost interest? Had Nike gotten cold feet? Or was Under Armour holding back for a game-changing rollout? The truth remains unclear, but one thing is certain. A player of Clark's visibility and star power doesn't go unnoticed by sneaker companies for long. So, where is Caitlin Clark's shoe? Is it a delayed masterpiece about to revolutionize the market? or one of the biggest marketing missteps in recent sports history. Fans and brands alike remain on edge, watching closely as this unfolding story continues to shape the future of athlete branding and endorsement deals in women's basketball. A'ja Wilson, Adidas, and the Silent Shoe saga. It all seemed like business as usual in the world of women's basketball. High-flying stats, roaring fan support, and marketing deals rolling out like clockwork. But then, the silence started to speak louder than the headlines. In early 2024, A'ja Wilson was coming off another jaw-dropping season, her second MVP title and one of the most dominant defensive runs the league had ever seen. Her name was on every analyst's lips, her stats nearly untouchable, and her leadership unquestioned. On the court, she was a powerhouse. Off the court, though, something major was conspicuously absent: her long-awaited signature shoe. Here's where the whispers turned into a wave. According to rising online chatter and unconfirmed reports from insiders, Wilson had actually signed a deal with Adidas nearly 2 years before any public rollout. 2 years. That's a lifetime in the fast-paced world of sports branding, especially when male athletes sometimes go from handshake to product launch in mere months. For a player of Wilson's caliber, that kind of delay seemed off. Meanwhile, another narrative was gaining steam. Enter Caitlin Clark, the college sensation whose jaw-dropping shooting and on-court flair had already turned her into a national headline. The buzz around her was deafening, and the WNBA wasted no time placing her front and center. It made sense. Clark was a media magnet, and the league needed visibility. But the optics were hard to ignore. In spring 2024, Clark's partnership with Adidas was announced, complete with her debut sneaker, the Steel. The rollout? Slick. Timed to perfection. From social campaigns to press releases, everything moved like a well-oiled machine. The reaction? Predictably massive. But for many, the celebration was tinged with frustration. Fans and analysts alike began asking, why did Clark, a rookie, get her shoe before Wilson, a proven 2-time MVP? Was it just a case of capitalizing on current hype? Or were deeper dynamics at play, ones involving race, market appeal, and media narratives? Wilson, ever composed, never took the bait publicly. But in one interview, she casually mentioned that she had known about the deal for a while and was just waiting on the right moment. It wasn't an accusation, but to those paying attention, it felt like confirmation that something had been simmering. And so, questions remain. Was Wilson's moment postponed due to cautious corporate decisions? Was her legacy being overshadowed by a more marketable newcomer? Or was it just a strategic choice that happened to create a public relations storm? We may never get the full story. But one thing's certain. When silence lingers around someone who should be celebrated, it doesn't go unnoticed. In Wilson's case, that silence spoke volumes. But what really kept Wilson in the shadows? Strategy, silence, or something more? Stay tuned, because this story runs deep. Sneaker wars and silent tensions. The buzz was deafening. Caitlin Clark's debut sneaker with Adidas sold out in minutes. Fans raced to resale sites where prices surged beyond $600, and hashtags like Clark Kicks and Restock now trended for hours. It was a marketing home run, a rookie sensation, a cultural moment. Adidas had struck gold, but behind the applause and viral clips, something far more complex was brewing: quiet unrest. While one player's popularity skyrocketed almost overnight, another WNBA powerhouse watched from the sidelines as the spotlight she'd worked years to earn quietly shifted. A'ja Wilson, a 2-time MVP, WNBA champion, Olympic gold medalist, and one of the most consistent and respected players in the league, had built her career slowly and deliberately. She'd done everything right, earned her accolades, used her voice thoughtfully, and helped elevate women's basketball through her own example. And yet, suddenly, it felt like none of it was enough. Caitlin Clark's rise wasn't just fast, it was meteoric. From sold-out arenas to constant media coverage, she became the story. Wilson wasn't bitter about Clark's talent. By all accounts, she respected the young star's skill. But the message underneath the frenzy hit differently. That consistent greatness could still be eclipsed by newness and marketability. That the attention she and others had fought for was now being funneled almost entirely toward one player. According to insiders, Wilson wasn't angry. She was disappointed. Not with Clark directly, but with how quickly the narrative had changed. Her past remarks about equity and exposure and the importance of acknowledging black women in sports began resurfacing. While she hadn't named names, the tone struck a chord. Some took her words as a subtle warning. Others pointed out her silence when Clark was publicly criticized or booed during games. The absence of support was noticed and interpreted. Soon, the public started asking questions the league didn't want front and center. Were we witnessing a generational rivalry? Or something deeper, a tension rooted in race, media favoritism, and commercial influence? Wilson's own Adidas shoe, once celebrated, saw slower movement in retail. Not a failure, but suddenly quieter. The comparison was inevitable. Clark, meanwhile, stayed focused. She avoided drama, gave polished interviews, and stayed away from the firestorm. But the whispers turned into headlines. Fan bases drew lines. Social media fed the tension with edited clips, side-by-side stats, and who deserves more polls. There have been no dramatic confrontations, no direct shots fired. But beneath the professional smiles and post-game quotes, something has clearly shifted. Because this isn't just about sneakers, it's about who gets remembered, who gets pushed, and who gets left waiting. The scoreboard might reset every game, but the spotlight doesn't. And in that light, a new kind of competition is taking shape. A star caught in the spotlight. It didn't happen overnight. The frustration, the guarded interviews, the sharp glances, it all simmered quietly, building over months, maybe even years, until the lid finally rattled. On the surface, it might look like A'ja Wilson is simply reacting to headlines or social media chatter. But if you dig deeper, a far more layered story begins to unfold. This isn't about one game, a single missed accolade, or even a rivalry manufactured by fans and networks. This is about a woman being written into a narrative she never auditioned for, while carrying a level of weight that rarely gets acknowledged outside the locker room. When Wilson made her now viral comments about playing in Indiana against Caitlin Clark in the Fever, the internet was quick to explode. Labels came flying: dramatic, bitter, insecure. But those reactions weren't rooted in Wilson's words. They were rooted in projections. At no point did A'ja say she feared the spotlight or disliked the fans. What she did express, calmly and honestly, was that the atmosphere felt tense. And how could it not? Every move she makes is scrutinized, every emotion dissected. That kind of pressure doesn't show up on box scores, but it wears down even the strongest players. The ESPY snub earlier this summer wasn't just disappointing, it was a reminder. Despite her MVPs, championships, and leadership, recognition doesn't always follow achievement. Then came the Adidas shoe deal drama, where another player, Caitlin Clark, was celebrated with campaigns and headlines, while Wilson's contributions were quietly placed in the shadows. This isn't about jealousy or resentment. It's about patterns. Patterns that reward some for speaking boldly, while punishing others for showing the same confidence. Add social media to the mix, and the picture gets even more suffocating. Every glance, every clipped reaction becomes content. A'ja's decision to block out some of the noise isn't a diva move. It's a form of self-preservation. When being yourself invites attack, sometimes silence becomes a shield. Yet even with all this, A'ja Wilson continues to perform. She leads, she shows up, she wins. But excellence doesn't cancel out exhaustion. In fact, the more she achieves, the more is demanded of her. And when someone new like Caitlin Clark enters with applause and endorsement deals, it's valid to ask, why is one star celebrated while the other is questioned? And more so, what is happening behind the WNBA spotlight? Stay focused. What the WNBA spotlight isn't showing. Fabricated narratives, half-truths, misleading edits. You've probably seen them floating across your feed, dramatic claims dressed up as breaking news, designed to stir emotion before anyone stops to ask what's actually true. But peel back the layers, and the real story is far more complicated, and honestly much more revealing than any doctored clip or viral tweet. Take one recent instance. A video began circulating, supposedly showing A'ja Wilson in tears after losing out to Caitlin Clark at the ESPYs. In the same breath, the clip misidentified respected ESPN analyst Andrea Carter as Andre Carter, twisting her words to fit a more scandalous narrative. The problem? There's no credible source confirming that A'ja ever cried, and Andrea, whose commentary has often been balanced and even supportive of Clark, was wrongly dragged into the drama. It's easy to dismiss these moments as harmless internet gossip, but they reflect something deeper, a shift that's unfolding in real time within the WNBA. And what's happening isn't just a clash of personalities. It's a revealing study in how sports leagues are shaped by media, marketing, and public perception. Caitlin Clark's arrival in the WNBA in 2024 has been a game changer. She's undeniably a breakout star, bringing unprecedented attention to the league. Viewership numbers have soared, jerseys sell out, major brands like Adidas have jumped at the chance to sign her, and networks now spotlight games that used to get little coverage. From a business standpoint, this focus makes perfect sense. Clark equals ratings, she moves the needle. But this kind of rapid elevation doesn't happen in a vacuum. Behind every meteoric rise, there are other stories. Players who've carried the league quietly and consistently. A'ja Wilson is one of them, a two-time league MVP, WNBA champion, and long-standing role model. She's been a dominant force in the game for years. So it's no surprise that many fans and analysts are asking the tough question: why does it feel like her legacy is being sidelined to make room for someone new? That question becomes even more pressing when you consider how narratives in sports can be influenced by race, image, and marketability. The tension isn't just about airtime or endorsements. It's about how success is defined and who gets to be the face of it. The ESPY incident and shoe deal controversy weren't the root of the issue. They were symptoms, a visible flare-up of what's been simmering for a while, a league caught between honoring its veterans and capitalizing on a media gold rush. It all ended with a viral clip. But what's unfolding now is a defining moment for the WNBA, a moment that challenges the league to find balance, to share the spotlight, and to ensure that while it grows, it doesn't forget who helped build the stage. So what do you think really happened behind the scenes with A'ja Wilson, Caitlin Clark, and Adidas' secret deal? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe.